Honkai Star Rail is the newest live service game in the HoYoverse, launching globally 26 April 2023. This game is free to play or free to start, a primarily single-player turn-based action RPG available on mobile, PC and PlayStation consoles. It is part of the larger Honkai series universe, featuring so-called alternate versions of the main universe's characters. We know it's an alternate Honkai universe because Himeko is alive.
And I'm no exception.
This early impressions video is brought to you by just under 9 hours worth of gameplay. That aside, I'd like to start with the options and settings. You start off by picking one of 4 servers, each effectively being an account of their own, broadly speaking. There's quite a number of little things that Honkai Star Rail has taken from HoYoverse stablemate Genshin Impact, so this comes as no surprise. You don't get access to the actual settings right away, which is somewhat a pet peeve of mine, but I won't dwell on it too much. The actual options available are the standard swath of graphics, audio and keybinds on PC, with little to no accessibility options. I suppose considering its overall gameplay, accessibility is less required compared to Genshin, but it will be great for larger developers to start standardizing their availability. There's quite the selection of text localization available, while the characters have voices in Chinese, English, Korean and Japanese as separate downloadable voice packs. I got too lazy to get them, even Japanese, despite my self-proclaimed weebery, which is neither here nor there. Let's move on. The first hour basically serves to get you familiar with the basics of the story and the controls. You get to choose between the stellar or careless forms, the selection of which the game warns cannot be changed later. Shortly after naming them, you become the industry standard mute amnesiac hero. Much like Genshin, Honkai Star Rail's protagonist is voiced at points, but otherwise only speaks through dialogue options. I honestly think this is a shame, a decision perhaps meant to more easily facilitate self-insertion. Who am I to speculate though? Honkai Star Rail is quite the looker of a game. At first glance, it may appear more muted with the dark backdrop of space and the stars, which is hardly lacking in colour, especially when it comes to the design of the playable characters or interacting with each other in 3D space. They have their respective cohesive color palettes and are button cute, important for marketing. Maybe the enemies do seem kinda boring though. If you're really nitpicky, NPCs tend not to have mouth flaps even when they're fully voiced, which might seem just a little bit weird. I feel like the UI and menus could do by being a little bit more streamlined, as there's quite a few clicks to go through for upgrades and such, which the devs can consider for another time. I haven't really paid attention to the music, but you can later get records to listen to select tracks on the phonograph later on. For me, the English dub is pretty good. At its quote-unquote worst, it's serviceable.
Why you're here, or what you're going to do next. You think I look familiar, but you're not sure if you should trust me.
My gripe is that there's no ultimate animation skip. Skipping story is one thing, but even in 2x speed in battles, be prepared to memorize a few canned lines and animation sequences whenever characters are off being cool and stuff. The gameplay section will be split into how you interact with the world and the systems in relation to the characters. So, I briefly mentioned it being a turn-based action RPG. The turn-based part should be pretty self-explanatory, with characters and enemies act in order, visible on the top left of the screen. Enemies have a break bar, which doesn't make them skip a turn, but it does make them a bit more vulnerable to damage. You can break enemies by matching character elemental attacks to an enemy's weakness, where a character without the corresponding advantageous element directly chips away at the enemy HP. Status effects do exist. Debilitating statuses like freeze will skip turns, while something like bleed deals damage over time. Unless otherwise stated, damage over time damages shields before HP. Using skills take up skill points, seen as pips on the bottom right, which can gain simply by attacking. Once a character charges out enough energy for an ultimate, they can cast it at any point, though the order of when the ultimate casts does still depend on when their input. Enemies can be seen walking around on the overworld. It's possible to run around them, but once you do get close enough, they do get alerted to your presence. You can start a fight with an advantage by hitting them in their elemental weakness, which you can see as you approach. Furthermore, characters have field techniques which can either aid in exploration or for a preemptive attack on foes. The overall exploration in Honkai Star Rail is a bit more limited than the open world of Genshin Impact, more akin to connected instances instead of one seamless plane. For one, you can't jump. There are still destructible objects, chests to open, and puzzles scattered around among other things. You just don't need to worry about parkour. Systems gradually unlock as you raise your Trailblazer level from going through the story and assorted missions. There will be daily missions, a battle pass, and a repeatable roguelike mode, as the ones I consider major gameplay additions. The roguelike, called Simulated Universe, can be repeated weekly for rewards. An assortment of currencies and quests serve as a busy work to get you more materials, rewards, and the like. Conveniences such as repeatable battles, auto battle, and item transmutation all exist. The stamina system recovers at 1 point every 6 minutes. And how about our colorful cast? As you might expect, they do have voice lines and some story you can read about. They could even send you messages which gets you a pittance of premium currency, like Dan Heng's dad joke message. I wanted to talk about the character upgrades here too without overloading the previous segment. To wit, they have their base levels and related ascensions, where you can also get some gacha tickets at certain ascensions. Trails which look like a skill tree wherein new passives or skill upgrades can be leveled up at unlocked nodes. Light cones which to me are mechanically more similar to Fate Grand Order's craft essences to Genshin Impact's weapons. A 4 relic system which are like Genshin's artifacts. And 8 Eidolons which are Genshin's constellations by another name. These don't sound like much and will certainly be very familiar if you've already played Genshin. Doubtless you're going to be spending plenty of time on the grind for these though. Ah yes, if you're going to be a free to start game, there's gotta be a way to monetize. You have the usual packs and monthly pass for premium currency and assorted resources. The actual gacha rate is pretty abysmal for Honkai Star Rail, but at the very least has a similar fidelity system to Genshin. Discounted beginner pool guarantees at least one 5-star character in 50 pools, so you could have a better start, or maybe struggle a little with damage if you get apart. The game has the same system where you have different pools for brand new characters and their associated light cone, and a permanent pool. Interestingly, after 300 pulls in the permanent pool, you're able to obtain an extra selectable 5-star once. C6GG Havers could never. I don't want to talk too much about the story for a couple of simple reasons. I'm not familiar with the Honkai universe lore, so things I'm puzzling about could just be answered simply by go check the wiki. As such, I'm not particularly invested and can't pick out references, and I'm just here for the ride. I feel like the story is fairly slow paced in the 9 or so hours I've been playing, presumably to pick up once more elements get introduced. For the lore hunters, there's a staggering amount of incidental pieces you can find lying around to read, not to mention the trash cans or little secrets you can find by being a dumbass or an incredibly persistent person. Whether you enjoy it at all will be personal taste. As an outsider trying out the hottest new game, Honkai Star Rail is competently made and can certainly be enjoyable. I would think that people who have enjoyed HoYoverse's other titles and or are involved in the Honkai universe in general would absolutely love this game. I'm merely lukewarm on it as I only have so much time in a day, and another live service game to contend with is not something I intend to do. As befitting my so-called brand, I will be a casual here. By all means, give the game a try and see how much you like it. I'm just some guy on the internet with opinions. So go, have fun, and I'll see you on the Astral Express.